let's try that again. This is the outreach meeting for February 13th, 2023. We have invited a couple of folks from Red Hat. We're hoping they can attend. There was some confusion on the schedule, so we just decided to go ahead and have this. If they attend, we will chat a little bit about Ortelius and how we can get better involved, but we'll chat about that anyway. To get started, we need to do an update on our BlogAthon. Our BlogAthon has been running now for 13 days. We have, let me go quickly to the GitHub repo there, and I'll share it. Share. All right. We have 24 total blog suggestions, and we have about a dozen of them assigned. So we're looking really, really good on that front. If you haven't already, there's a blog here on blogs on SBOMs and supply chain. What is an SBOM? This is a really good one. Steve Taylor has written one that you can basically steal some of his thoughts and ideas. It's out on the Deploy Hub site. Let me go find it for you. I'll put it in the chat in case anybody wants to do that one. It's a simple one. I think it might be up here. SBOMs, consolidated, understanding SBOMs right there. This is a really good, what is an SBOM S-blog that Steve wrote for us. Different formats, different things. So this is something that you could kind of repurpose if you're interested. Always happy for those to be repurposed. This went out maybe a year ago. So a lot of people have forgotten about it, but it's got a ton of information about what SBOMs are. So that would be a good one to rework. Anybody's interested in taking that on. We'll go back to the chat. There it is.
I will do it.
You will? Okay, great. That's a really good one because there's already this blog you can steal some stuff from. So he's written this is a pretty complete listing. Okay, we go back to Git. Arvin will do what is an SBOM. That was the only other one that I thought we really should be able to get done.
Oh, nice layout. Got design skills there, Steve.
He's talking about your blog. Thank you. I take his blogs and I make them pretty.
Oh, this is Tracy. I was just checking. I was just testing the waters.
Yeah. I do all the content and then
Steve's brain dumps, you can take and do a lot with it. Let me tell you, a big giant head when it opens up, you just type until you get it all there and then you pretty it up.
Looks really good. Wow.
Okay. I think that there's one here on SIFT. We already have an integration with SIFT. And if you go over to the deploy to Ortelius and you go to the documentation and you look up in integrations, there should be this is where you can write that blog from. So this talks about how to add SIFT to your pipeline automation and covers, so that blog could be one that says, this is what SIFT is, this is why we like it, and this is how you use it. So that's another one that would be a good one for somebody to pick up. It's a fairly easy blog to get done because there's a lot already out there. So I will put in this one, I will put that comment there. All righty. So Simon, if you're thinking about doing a blog, this would be a good one to take on, since there's already a lot of it is already written.
and SIFT is from Encore. So that's one of Encore's open source projects. There's a couple others. I went looking for SBOM tools the other day, generation tools, and it's hard to find them. Ones that actually work. So that is another area kind of associated to the SIFT is what other alternatives that you have out there. But it's pretty slim pickings from what I could tell.
And then we do have one of our milestones. This is not in the list, but if somebody wants to take it on. In our milestones, we have one of the is the DevOps. We are close to getting this done. Steve has been working hard to try to get rid of this. I know that he's probably frustrated with it by now, but I think he's getting close. And then I think Arvin, you're going to finish up these, and then we'll just have these 3 Argo tasks open. I don't know if we're going to do this Argo step.
I have already completed that one, the health
Okay.
check one.
Okay. So in terms of a more difficult, I'd say a more one that requires a little more study and work would be what our DevOps process is. There's a bunch of stuff out here. I think that we do need to document our DevOps process. So that might be something that somebody wants to take on. It would require some time sitting down with Steve to make sure that we have, or Brad. I think Brad's done a lot of it too, to pull out what our DevOps process looks like. And this we want to get done in the next 2 weeks. So this milestone will be gone, and then we can create a blog on it. So that's another blog that you could submit for the BlogAthon. In terms of, is anybody taking notes on this? Let me pull up the document here. Steve, you wouldn't have those notes up, would you?
Nope. I've been working on other things. I've been working on that
Okay.
artifact issue, the
All right.
CVE issue.
Well, let me get it opened. Sorry, guys, I should have done this beforehand.
No worries.
Oops, that's not the one I wanted.
You find it?
I'm getting there. Okay, let me copy and paste this. All right. Two 15. All right, everybody, go ahead and enter your update, your name in there. I'm going to stick it in the chat. Okay. Should not be a heading 3. It should be text. BlogAthon. Okay, Tracy covered outstanding blogs. We'll take an S-bomb. Blog on SIFT was discussed, as well as blogs on the Ortelius DevOps process. DevOps milestone will be completed by end of month. All right. Okay, the other thing we need to talk about is CDCon. I think that the call for papers is done for CDCon. I don't know if Brad submitted, but Steve Taylor submitted two talks. submitted. Two
Simon, did you
talks.
submit talks for CDCon?
Yes, yes, Steve, I have submitted one with my friend from Turkish. I was talking about something related to supply chain security and
Nice.
Great.
OCI images specs.
Okay, so we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 talks submitted. Hopefully we'll get at least one of those. I don't know if does anybody know of any other shows or what's Swamp Up is going to be happening soon. So Swamp Up
There's
is May
there's
11th.
There's this platform con is happening from Humanitech, and the CFP is closing on 2/28. So Steve, we can join forces for that one.
What is that one called again, Simon?
Platform con. I'm sharing the link right now.
Is it in person or is it?
It's a virtual one.
Oh, nice.
I believe me and Steve has to go for it.
Yeah. And when's call for papers are next week?
You know, it's actually we have 14 days left.
Okay.
28th is the last date.
Okay, I'm putting the call for papers in the doc right now.
Is it mostly like a DevOps focus?
Yes, it's basically from the pack stage and these kind of things, developer portals, Kubernetes platform, cloud native platform. So that's the basic aim of this.
Right.
I think this is basically run by the Humanitech company.
Okay, somehow there it is. Okay.
I have also shared one Audi QA header.
What was that, Arvin?
It's Cube
QA
Huddle.
header.
Yes, that's another good thing to explore. It's happening in Toronto.
Can you put a link in the chat?
It's in the chat. Cube Huddle.
Okay.
And that one call for papers closes March 3rd.
I'm trying to
Has
get
anyways, we have submitted for the co-located events in KubeCon, like there is the OrcoCon or something related to that.
Oh, somebody there was a blog on, what did I just click on in the Zoom, in the chat? Sasha, you oh, there it is, Sessionize. Okay.
Yeah, that's the link to Cube Huddle.
Okay, that's kind of fun. May 17th and 18th. Boy, everybody's doing stuff in May.
And
Yeah,
also, like, why not
Go
you
ahead.
exploring opportunities in the case study event that is happening in like
Cube Huddle. I never even heard of that one. Toronto. And that one's in person, I'm assuming. Is that right? Yeah, May 17th and 18th at the Convention Center. I wonder if Garima is going to be going to that. Maybe we should reach out to her and find out. Okay, any other talks, presentations? Simon, what do you have scheduled for, how are you doing on your podcasts?
this is actually after a very, very long conversation with and we have actually go for 20th. I think next Thursday, not this Thursday, but next Thursday we are going live. I think she has a very busy schedule this month, Martina, but somehow we managed to find a time and we are going live. Now,
Okay.
I think I have to create a noise around Ortelius. So I'm actually preparing a script for the podcast. So I'm interested in knowing what actually we are doing in the backstage currently in the Ortelius.
That is something that you need to ping Brad on. He has the most experience with it.
So actually, he's working on the backstage with Ortelius integration.
Yeah. I don't know where
Thanks.
is Martina, where you might need to do that. So the problem with Brad is he's got in a weird, he's in a weird time zone. So it's hard to get him on, but he's really good. It would be good to have, might be fun to have Martina and Brad on the same call.
Yes, but I think like it's very, very difficult because Martina is, I think, she's actually living in Madrid right now. So she has a very busy schedule. And Brad, I think, living in Melbourne, I guess. Melbourne, he's in Australia currently.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's in Australia. I will talk to him, but Martina is actually telling me on the Friday call that he talked to his another peer from his team in Rodi to have a panel of 2 people talking about backstage and Rudy. But with follow-up with Brad, we can add more sessions. We can add another podcast with the Brad on the topic Ortelius integration with backstage.
Yeah.
So I will
Yeah, I
try
think-
to find some time.
Yeah, I think something like that do kind of two where you do the one with Martine and then Brad kind of listens to that one and tails on to tailor what we're doing around that at that level.
Or Steve, you could just do the call.
I have no
Yes.
idea. I have no idea what we have going on with backstage. I couldn't even tell you anything about it.
Okay.
I know
Well,
there's a
yes.
reach out there, but I don't know what the purpose
So-
is.
Well, why don't you go, when is your call with Martina? Next week, you said?
It's Thursday. I think not this Thursday, but the coming Thursday.
I will make it I go ahead and put me on it. I will do my best to get caught up with what Brad's doing so that we can chat about it. Because none of it has to be low level technical. It's more of providing kind of the use cases of the work we're doing. And I think I'm fine with doing that.
Yes, actually, Brad and me are talking about this thing as well. And he mentioned like we have to do some kind of complete run up because the podcast is happening on Thursday same time at the meeting, architecture meeting. So I'm actually adding you, Tracy.
Okay.
I have added you as well.
Okay, super. I will do, I'll get caught up and I can read through what we've already done and at least get an idea of where we're headed with it.
I deployed it in my
Yeah.
Terraform environment, in my local environment. It deployed. So if you want to check it out like that, you could do it on your local machine.
Backstage?
putting- yeah,
Well,
just
why
putting
don't
it
you
out
do
there.
it then, Sasha?
I don't know what I'm doing though.
Sasha, you totally know what you're doing. You so underestimate yourself. You have imposter syndrome, something fierce. You do.
I work for
just
food, so I'm just waiting for the turkey.
Basically,
Sasha,
guys, I just
have you been watching what we've been doing? I say you do a podcast. It's nothing super heavy technical. You'll be fine.
Okay.
Yes, I just need information like where we are in the backstage for the script I'm talking on the podcast. That's super important. So Sasha, we have to join forces.
Okay. Let me
It'd be
deploy it
great.
quickly. Let me
Yeah,
deploy
just
it quickly.
Just
I
let
did
you know,
deploy it. Mm.
if you can reach out to Brad and say, Brad, give me some high level indicate, let me know what you've done so I can communicate it over.
I mean,
Yes,
if it runs, we'll just see
I mean, all we really
dashboard.
need to talk, all we really need to talk about is what we're doing in terms of if you've already if you've already registered a microservice at Backstage, we can go and we can pull that information over and start versioning and tracking it, right?
Yeah, there's a Helm chart and everything in, I always forget that thing, Artifact Hub.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we just need high level use cases to describe what we're doing. We don't have to give a technical outline of how to do it. Because the problem with Backstage is that it doesn't allow for that kind of versioning and aggregation up to the application level. And that's really all we need to talk about on the Ortelius side is how we're we're watching the changes that they're making on the Backstage side. If they're registered at both locations, we can then create a new version and aggregate a new application version for everybody who's consuming that microservice. It's not something that Backstage is doing or they have any interest in doing.
Yeah.
All I know is that I think we have 2 plugins to Backstage, but I don't know what they do.
Yeah, I don't know that part either. I just know that we have a Backstage and that there's a container and it runs because I've deployed it in my Terraform environment.
Yeah.
Well, it runs perfectly.
Well,
That's all I know.
ultimately, what we're working on, that is the goal, is that if you're already using Backstage and you start using Ortelius, and Ortelius can start versioning all the changes in Backstage and aggregating it up to the application.
No, what you have to do, I believe, is Backstage is going to generate your pipeline, right? You're going to say, I want to use Jenkins and I want to do X, Y, and Z. And as part of one of the plugins is to add the Ortelius CLI step to your Jenkins pipeline.
Ah, so you would consume Backstage like that.
So Backstage is a templating framework that you're going to tell it to do certain steps in the pipeline, and then it goes off and does generates your Jenkins file basically with you know, I'm going to do a Docker build. Here's my registry that I'm going to push to, and then I want to run the Ortelius CLI, and then I want to do some unit testing, for example. All that template is what Backstage should generate for you.
Yeah, I understood it. It's like a buffet. It's like a
Yeah.
restaurant buffet for developers.
And when we do that, the reason why you would do that is in our CLI process, Steve's already written where you pull that that microservice information into the CLI, into that Ortelius CLI, and it will do the update. And it'll also update any of the applications if you put that in there.
Oh, see, that's why I built the local environment so that I can understand how Ortelius and Backstage will fit together from my own understanding, right? Otherwise, you have no tangible way of like understanding Ortelius and its integrations.
Right. And now as far as now, that's what it should do is one of those, what we just discussed, but how it does it, I like I said, I think there's 2 plugins somehow. There's a front end plugin and a back end plugin that are needed to make it happen. And that's where we need to get from Brad the details on what those plugins are doing.
Yes. So what I do, like, I will check with Brad as well. What my thinking here is like Backstage is getting a lot of noise in the ecosystem. So we try to fit into the noise in the Ortelius community in itself. Like we try to tell people, like it's a way of communicating with the people, because every time we talk about Backstage on any blog post, on podcast or anything, people will jump in and start participating in the discussion. So that's part one of the strategy is. So Tracy, like I think currently my focus is like because in the becoming KubeCon is a Backstage is a big focus of the CNCF and communities as well. Like a lot of the people have submitted the CFPs for. So you see a lot of the noise in the Backstage as well. So we need to get involved with that noise as well. So for the next podcast, I'm focusing more on Backstage, or do I focus more on the supply chain security? Because both are the very hot topic these days.
I think right now we've got Martina lined up. Let's really talk about Backstage. Now, I'm not sure how far along Brad has gotten and being able to, you know, do a proper rollout of that Backstage integration. But I believe if he's written something that a plugin to our CLI, then most of it's done via the CLI. So if you go over to, and Steve, tell me if this is wrong, because I'm making some assumptions here since I haven't tested it. We have the command line interface is what they would be rolling out, correct? As the plugin.
Correct.
So in that we can pass the names of not only just the application that is associated to it, but we can also update the object itself. Correct?
Correct.
So the use case for doing this is so that each time if somebody has a microservice that they're updating through the pipeline, that we are managing the application and the microservice versions. But what you're saying is that they would have to, the CLI is the one that initially registers the microservice as opposed to us going and reading the Backstage database and pulling the microservice data over into Ortelius.
Correct. Because it has to be part of the pipeline. Because if you just read the Backstage database, you only read that once and it does not then the data is stale and it's not picking up any information from the pipeline process.
Correct.
Because if you just hook into the Backstage, you need to, the CLI needs to be inserted into the pipeline in order for us to continually monitor the pipeline and grab the information. If we're not in the pipeline, we don't get any data.
Right. Okay. So what we should be able to talk about, Simon, is our CLI plugin that we've built without too much headache. And Sasha, I think that you can certainly cover that because you probably have played with this stuff more than most of us.
You are mute.
I'm on mute.
Yeah, because he's swearing.
I know.
Let me say that again. I can deploy everything, but I haven't gotten into the guts yet because there's still some fiddly things that need to be fixed. But I'm almost there. It's like, I can port forward to Ortelius, but then I need to fix something on the database that Steve posted. And I would like to, and I need Steve's help to figure out how to override the Nginx ports, node ports, so that I can use fixed node ports.
Yep.
So Sasha, let's do it this way. If you decide on Thursday that you're not up for doing the podcast with Martina.
I don't mind doing it. It's just that I don't want to go unprepared and sound like,
no, if you
I don't
feel
know
like
what the heck I'm talking about. That's all.
if you don't feel prepared, let me know and I'll take your spot.
Okay.
So that gives you like a couple of days to read through the CLI and understand how those connections would work.
Yeah.
To talk about the plugin, because all we're really talking about on the podcast is Ortelius now has a new plugin for Backstage.
Okay.
I don't think that I'm not sure how much documentation there is out there on it, but we can at least we're close. And like I say, if you don't feel comfortable doing it, I'm happy to.
Yeah, I don't mind doing it. It's just I don't want to not like sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. That's all.
You will never sound like you don't know what you're talking about.
Because I
You'll
don't
be
know.
fine.
Well, I don't know what Backstage. I don't know. Like, I don't have a tangible idea of how Backstage fits into our system really until I actually use it myself. I kind of like that. I can read documentation until I'm blue in the face, but until I actually use something,
I'm the same way. I'm exactly the same.
I'm not an academic. I'm an engineer.
I know. I have to have I have to play with it in order for it to work.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, you just let me know. So Simon, it's either going to be myself or Sasha. And since that's live, does that cause you a problem in terms of any tiles? Any social media posting, or is that going to be okay?
Mute.
Oh, you're on mute.
I will create the banner and the I will create the banner advertisement for the content as well. But right now I'm working on what the content we are talking about on the podcast, because first we have to decide the content on the podcast we're talking about. For that, I need some info from the Ortelius, like what we actually working on. Then I will send the script to Martina.
Okay,
And then we eventually, because the show is actually hosted, like we decided the date and time, but both of us is currently working on what the content we are working on together, because there are two things. Martina is from the Rodi company that is having a SaaS platform for the Backstage. So this is being the podcast hosted by the Ortelius. We are the open source. So she thinks like, could we only talk about Backstage or Rodi? We could talk about both things for the podcast. So basically, preparing the script. What I do, like, I will talk with Brad. If he's able to join, that's perfectly fine. If he doesn't able to join, I will ping you on the email or the Slack, Discord. Some of you or Sasha has to join and start talking about as well. So this is actually the podcast number 1 of this year. But the current, like for the next, because this is happening in 23rd, I guess. So for the next moving forward, do we focus more on because I have some guests already in the plan, but do we focus more on the supply chain security side or the Backstage?
I would
for the
say
upcoming?
I would say, after this Backstage, the first one, my suggestion would be is that we focus on the supply chain security. It is a much bigger conversation that's going on right now, much bigger than Backstage, even though Backstage has a lot of love right now. And it's probably going to graduate this year, which is cool. The supply chain security discussion in general is a much bigger, broader discussion and will incorporate a lot more topics.
Yes, absolutely. So what I'm actually working with the OpenSSF behind the scene is helping them create the ambassador program for the Open Source Security Foundation. So I believe I know few of the people from the OpenSSF community, but these are basically the community people, not the tech people. So I think you have to find. I know some of the people from the Chain Guard company, for the supply chain security company, that can be a part of this podcast. But for the OpenSSF, we need to start discussing some ideas for the podcast for the next month.
Okay. So there's a lot of different topics that you could conclude. Do you want to have a shared doc that we can that everybody can update and give you suggestions?
Yes, so I need some like guest and plus topics. So
Okay.
basically, I need some guests from the OpenSSF. If you know someone from the OpenSSF, then basically start circulating some email, and then we'll figure out a best topic for that as well. But we have to find how
I can find you those folks. I can reach out to the folks that I know at OpenSSF. Just so everybody knows, the elections for the general board rep is this week or next week, something like that. So I may not be on the board next year, depending on who gets elected. However, I do still have, I still am going to work on that project, and they will be building an outreach committee that we'll be working on. And Simon, it's something that you'll be, I'm sure, welcome to help with. But yeah, I can help with that. If let's just get a shared doc out there. Let me just create one really quick, and I'll add it to this.
Yes, you can add me, Steve, Sasha, and everyone's. So
I'll add everybody to it. And I'll just call it 2023.
Yes, and I also.
Yes, podcast.
And I also see one blog post from the.
Focus on supply chain.
And I also see the one of the blog post for the OpenSSF. I see a very cool photo in there. I believe many have not seen this post, but let me share the Discord. I've shared this in the past. Let me find one.
Whose photo is it?
Yes, Sasha, if you look at it, you'll really amazed. Let me find it. I shared it previously on the Discord. Let me find it. But
who's the photo of?
Yes, yes. I think you have to click on this thing. I'm sharing here on the Zoom as well. Go check this post, Sasha. you see a very surprise in here.
I've got everybody.
Where did you post it?
Yes, it was on the Zoom chat.
Okay, I sent it out to just about
Oh.
everybody.
Sasha, there is a surprise in this photo, in this blog post.
You have to scroll down.
Yes, absolutely. Have you find it or not? Have you find it or not?
That is
Just
the
let me
biggest
know.
horse I've ever seen. Jeepers. What are you guys feeding them there? That's proper. I'm coming to America. I'm feeling
He gets his Wheaties.
Jeepers. That's
So
so nice, Tracy.
So that's my Clydesdale.
Yes,
Oh, are
it's
you
a
looking at my
beautiful horse.
picture? Isn't he
Yes.
cool?
Yes, it's beautiful,
Yeah.
man. That he's huge.
He's massive.
He weighs about 2,000 pounds.
Look at the size
my
of the size of his head. It goes from the top of my head to my stomach.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
So what is the name of this horse? What do we call it?
Dakota.
Dakota.
Dakota, middle name Bigfoot.
Oh,
He's getting old. I don't really ride him very much anymore. And Steve definitely
Yeah,
doesn't
but it's
ride him.
beautiful there.
Yeah, he's a
but
sweetheart.
Tracy, you have given a wonderful photo to open us. I really like it.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
it's cool.
so glad that you did. They asked me to give like something that showed what you might do as a hobby. And I was like, oh, that picture.
Wow.
I looked through the repository for Backstage, and it's basically an empty repository. It has some sample stubbed out plugin code, but there's nothing working in there.
That's fine. We'll just say, let them know. We'll just talk about the work that we are doing, and we need to probably, if we're going to make Backstage a project, we probably should create a milestone for it after our DevOps and try to get some of the stuff done, and not just Brad working on it. So we'll be good. All right. Any other tidbits that we need to cover? I think that we covered most of what we're. The only other one is the is Emporius. And everybody check to see if you can get to this document that I just created, so we know that you guys can get to it. And that is for the Beaming Ortelius podcasts for the year.
I joined a Google group and we went to their code in GitHub. And I saw there was, the Google group. Yeah, so the Google group and the GitHub. And then Arvind and I and Utkarsh were in a meeting with them for the first one. When was that, Arvind? Last week?
Yeah, last week.
Just
and I
to meet
also
them, right?
did a PR, and my first PR was accepted.
Yeah,
Yay.
I also raised a PR too. I wonder if mine was accepted. Probably not. I probably broke their Git or something.
Yeah, you probably broke their Git repo.
Yeah. Probably. Here we go. Let's see. I think it was for the web one. It's still there.
Maybe you have to talk with them. I talk with them in their Slack channel.
I see they use Netlify.
Oh, yeah, that does remind me. We moved the website and the documentation over to Netlify. So if you merge your PR to main on either one of those repos, it'll get deployed out to Netlify.
It's so cool. I love that Netlify. I want to go check it out. I signed up there. So good.
Yeah, our Hugo stuff fit right in, so it was pretty instantaneous to get up and going.
Yeah, they got like a Hugo template.
Yeah.
It's so easy. Works so well.
Now, one of the things I did run into was I tried to update our Doxy template to like the most recent. But their Hugo version is too old. So it's one of those that we'll have to just keep an eye on if we need to update our template to see if they bump their Hugo version.
Okay. I'd also like to demo the Terraform environment, Ortelius environment, to everybody who wants to join.
Yeah, we can either do that on the architecture call this Friday, this Thursday, or we can do a one-off and publicize it. I think we do a one-off and publicize it.
Yeah, I just want to put that out there just so, yeah, we can think about it.
Let's get the port forwarding figured out, Sasha, this week, and then do it maybe next week.
Yeah, I just need your help on that. I just need to hard code the node ports for the local environment so that it's very easy for developers to, you can just go to localhost : node port. That's it. And it'll pull up and Ortelius will run, right?
Yep.
No, yeah. Because I can just do an extra port mapping in kind.
Yep.
That's what I do with local stack.
So let's touch base this week and get it sorted out. I don't think it'll be a big change.
And then also I would like to also do another session with code spaces.
Oh,
To show you
definitely.
guys how that works.
Yeah.
Because I've done it on my dev environment repo as a test, just to show everybody how this works and what the heck am I going on about.
Cool.
Cool.
Okay, and then the last thing that we really need to remind everybody is that we do have the CDCon, our MVP awards. Sasha and Utkarsh's names are out there. There is a GitHub ticket open for that, so you can nominate who you feel should be given that award. And then I'll put a OPA vote together and send that out. I think I have it done before like the 10th of March or something like that. So I'll probably keep those nominations open for another 2 weeks, and then we'll do a vote.
Yes, and there's a one called Top Ambassador Award for 2022.
There's a what?
It is a Top Ambassador Award for 2022.
Oh, there is? Okay. Yeah, I don't think any of us have done much in terms of being ambassadors, but that's cool that they're doing that.
Yes, but to be honest with you, like in the CDF, like things are very, very slow. Like they haven't done much thing. Like I have planned to do a podcast on their channel, but they haven't started so many things. So things are very slow right now on their end. People joining in and doing not much of the contribution, and then that's a pain in the CDF side.
Well, it's hard on it's hard in any open source community. You guys have been great to do contributions and be involved, but sometimes I'm on these boards, and I can promise you there are people who are sitting on like the OpenSSF board that they show up for the meetings, and when they hang up the phone, they don't think of anything else. They just show up to the meeting and give their opinion, but they're not involved in anything, and it can be really frustrating.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. I don't want to be a part of something where I'm not actually doing something to contribute.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Let's be honest, it's just like, then why are you there? Sorry. It's just, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And here is a issue on the Top Ambassador Award. So I think I should go for it.
You should definitely go for it. Absolutely.
You should go.
Yes,
I'll vote for you.
Go for it.
Go.
Go do it.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we are way over our time. Thank you so much. And we will speak soon.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.